"Oh, I'm still a big star from my old career. I'll never have as many parts again at this age," she added. "We fought in main court over who would get to keep our daughter Barbara. She was known as Hollywood's hardest star. But no one knew her real name, Davis, up to now. People in charge at the studio tried to silence her. Her husband broke into her bedroom to find her with someone else. Even worse was the sad abortion she never told anyone about. She said some crazy things about Joan Crawford. These are more than just letters. They hold Hollywood's darkest secrets. B. Davis was born on April 5, 1908, in Lowell, Massachusetts. Having a broken home shaped her as a child. Harlan Morrell Davis, her dad, was cold and not close to her. Her mother, Ruth Favor, was very strict and religious. They split up in 1915 because their marriage was tense. Bette was 7 years old at the time. In the end, she said she felt better, which would make most kids sad. That moment showed how quickly she learned to keep herself from feeling pain. After they broke up, Bette and her sister Bobby were raised by their mom by herself. She worked as a photographer to help them out. Bette learned a lot about being on her own by watching her mom run the house. After her father died, she'd date older guys to try to fill the void he left. For the rest of her life, she would keep doing that. She was married 4 times, but they all split up. Her mom had very strict rules. Bette grew up in a very conservative area. She once said she was the most modest virgin who had ever lived. This didn't go with the picture she was going to show that night. She cared about people and was interested, but she had never been with someone or had sex before. In the 1930s, Hollywood was hot and crazy, and Bette didn't feel like she belonged there. During her early screen test, she had to lie on a couch while male actors kissed her one after the other. That day, she tested on 15 guys. Later, she said she felt so bad about herself that she thought she might die. She also got married to Harmon Oscar Nelson on August 18, 1932, in Yuma, Arizona. The rules her mother made her follow, even though she was 24. Right away, things started to go badly in the marriage. Nelson made $100, 0 cents a week, and Bette made $1,000, 0 cents. Things got tense because of that difference. Back then, guys told their wives how much money they could make. She couldn't even buy a house without his permission. Nelson believed that her success put her at risk. As her fame grew, so did their friendship. He tried to end 2 of her pregnancies. It was illegal and very dangerous to have an abortion back then. After being married for 7 years, he asked for a divorce in 1938. He told her she read too much. The New York Times said he was mad that she read and watched shows even when other people were around. Before she gave a hint of a deeper reason, Bette didn't say she didn't agree with the claim. At the time they were married, but she cheated on her husband with Howard Hughes, a famous airplane mogul. Back in 1931, B. Davis went to La La Land. No one knew who she was, and she was only 22 years old. She didn't have any flash, fame, or a real welcome. The people in charge at Universal Studios hired her, but as soon as she got there, they thought she was a mistake. Carl Lem, who ran the studio, almost fired her right away. The cameraman, Carl Finn, saved her because he thought her pretty eyes would look good on. That small compliment gave her one chance, but it didn't last. Davis heard Carl Laemmle Jr. after a short time. Some people said her sex appeal was about the same as that of Slim Somerville, one of the awkward-looking male actors in her first movie, The Bad Sister. Even though she was hurt, she tried to fit in. She asked makeup artist Jack Pierce for help. He told her all the bad things about how she looked instead of giving her hope. He said her hair was dull and her eyes were too small. She also had a small mouth. He said she looked like a fat little Dutch girl and her neck was too long. It was too late for him to fix it with makeup tips. The worst part then came. During a scene, she had to change a baby's diaper. The mother didn't know the child was a boy. When she saw male genitalia for the first time on black and white tape, she turned bright red. It looked like she had a very dark gray face. She felt bad about herself. Things did not get better. After the movie was shot, she and her mom went to San Bernardino to get an early look. Davis felt so bad about what she did that she left the movie early and cried the whole way home. Between 1931 and 1932, she made 5 more movies, but none of them did well. Universal dropped her in 1932. That might have been the end of her job. After that, George Arles showed up. He was famous for being an actor for 63 years. Davis chose to work with him in Warner Brothers' The Man Who Played God. It was an interesting choice. He was too old for a love story, so he looked for a young talent who he could love and admire. After seeing other women, he thought Davis was the only one who could do it. That part of her life changed it. A makeup artist named Perk Westmore told her to bleach her hair yellow. Davis agreed. She said that it was the first time on TV that she looked like herself. It worked after the change. Jack Warner hired her after seeing a rough cut of the movie. She would get $400, 0 cents a week for 5 years, which is about $8,400, 0 cents today. People who were critical were happy too. The Saturday Evening Post said she was like big stars like Constance Bennett in terms of how she looked and how charming she was. Charles was amazed at how well she did. In 1940, he wrote about this in his book. He said Davis would give the part a nice bit of depth. She always said that he helped her get ahead in Hollywood. Warner Bros. Didn't treat her like a star even after she got this big break. She kept getting roles in small movies with weak plots. In 1934, she took a chance with RKO. They gave her the part of Mildred in Of Human Bondage after other artists turned it down. Her part as a mean and nervous woman was one of the hardest she had ever had to play. They were shocked by the reviews. Life magazine said that it was probably the best movie performance by an American star ever as an actress. When the Academy didn't put her on the list of Oscar candidates, a lot of people were mad. Norma Shearer put her forward with her and pushed for her to be recognized. People were asked to write in their votes, which was the first and only time that it ever happened. Davis didn't win, but it was clear what he meant. In 1935, it was finally Davis's turn to get some respect. That year, she played an actor who was having a tough time and dangerous. Many people told her how great she was in the role. Some people who didn't like her thought she was strong. E.R. Not Robertson wrote in Picture Post that Davis might have been killed as a witch if she had lived 200 or 300 years ago. He said her energy was too strong to be normal. She was also praised by the New York Times. In Hollywood, she was being called one of the most interesting actresses. That year, she got her first Academy Award for Best Actress. Davis did not want to party, though. She didn't believe the award was for Dangerous at all. She thought of it as a late thank you for her part in Of Human Bondage the year before. The win was still important, even though it was just a comfort prize. Making that movie got her into Hollywood and showed that no one could ignore how good she was. In 1936, Bette Davis had just won her first Oscar for her part in the movie Dangerous. Not many people in Hollywood talked about her more than she did. When she was 28, she wasn't in charge of her fame, but most people could only dream of it. Warner Brothers chose the stories she wrote. They chose the co-workers she had. She was sick of being told what to say and when to say it. At that time, Davis was getting $1,250, 0 cents a week. Even though it was the Great Depression, that was a good amount of money. But male stars were making a lot more. She was told by Jack Warner that she would get an extra $2,250, 0 cents a week. The cost went up by 80%. Most artists would have taken it. Davis wasn't. Through her lawyer, Mike Levy, she asked for something that shocked everyone. Every week, she asked for $3,500, 0 cents. She wanted to work on radio shows and movies that weren't made by Warner Brothers. She also asked to be able to make only 4 movies a year and have 3 months off every year. She complained that she was fed up with being put in bad situations. She wished the scripts were better, her co-stars were better, and she could turn down jobs. Levy told her she asked for too much. Davis wasn't interested. She believed she was valuable. She told them she wouldn't work again until they gave her a new deal. After that, a movie star and a company got into a big fight. Things got worse very quickly. Hollywood gave her the lead part in God's Country and the Woman. The movie was supposed to be very big and colorful. Back then, color cameras were expensive and you had to rent them by the day. Every hour that the movie wasn't being filmed, the company lost money. We lost time and had to pay more for tools when Davis turned down the part. Beverly Roberts was told what to do, but the damage was already done. Davis also turned down the movie Mountain Justice, which was made just for her. He lied to her to get her to love him again. He told her she could be the star of Gone with the Wind because he owned the rights to it. Davis wasn't sure. I'll bet it's a pip, was said back and forth. In June 1936, Warner Brothers fired her without pay. The way the deal was set up, the time spent on punishment would be added to the end of the deal. She would have to pay the business even more time if she didn't show up. Davis believed that her only option was to leave the country. She ran away on a Saturday night in the summer of 1936. She knew that court papers couldn't be served on a Sunday, so she waited until late at night. They left Hollywood when she was done with her work. They flew to Vancouver. From here, they took a train across Canada to get to Montreal. On September 3rd, 1936, she boarded the RMS Duchess of Bedford and went to England. It wasn't just a vacation, it was a plan. When Davis got to London, she stayed at Claridge's. There, she met painters like Ludovico Toy-Pletz and Monty Banks. She agreed to be in I'll Take the Low Road with Maurice Chevalier that same day. The deal was for $50,000, 0 cents. In the same amount of time, she would have made 10 times that amount in Hollywood. A lot of people knew about the deal very quickly. She was called the star who got away by the news media. Some people didn't know if she was being brave or putting her future at risk. Davis believed that the British courts would not support Warner Brothers. Her lawyer said that the contract was an overbearing form of government that didn't fit in a free country. But Jack Warner wouldn't let this go. The moment he heard the news, he got on a plane and went to London. It was September 9th, 1936, and Warner Brothers took a case to the High Court of Justice. Sir Patrick Hastings, who was one of the most famous judges in Britain, was hired. It all began in October 1936, full of people. The British press was there to cover every word. There were many newspapers that agreed with Warner Brothers. Davis was shown to be a famous American who made a lot of money. He made more in a week than most people make in a year. But Hastings made fun of her in court. He said Davis was bad and only wanted money. He even laughed at her when she said he was being rude to her. The judge made his ruling on October 19th, 1936. He said, if that payment is enough to make someone want to put me into perpetual servitude, I will be ready to think about it. However, Branson, the judge, ruled in favor of Warner Brothers. Davis didn't have a good reason to back out of her deal, he said. He told her to pay the studio $80,000, 0 cents, plus court costs. There were other jobs she could do, though. He also wouldn't let her work for any other movie studio. Warner Brothers promised to help her pay her court costs, but they didn't. Davis had to borrow money from Bank of America to pay the bill. She had spent all of her money and time on the case. She wouldn't give up. She finally said, I lost the battle, but not the war. This happened in 1938. Davis played Julie Marsden in the movie Jezebel. This part caused her job to change. Warner Brothers tried to sell Davis the rights to Gone with the Wind, but they were not successful. To make things right, they gave her Jezebel. It was only meant to be a backup, but it became something much more important. Back then, $1, 0 cents was a lot of money. $25 million. William Wyler was in charge, and Davis was scared to work with him. Years ago, he made her feel bad during a screen test. That was the first thing she said about it. Wyler said he was sorry, but he had forgotten what he did. After being honest with each other, they could trust each other more. The people they worked with became more than just co-workers. Davis said it was one of her most important loves in the end. It was tough to film. It was crazy and hard to play Julie. Davis did all he could. By the end of the shoot, she was so tired that she felt sick. Around the same time, her father also died. It was hard for them to be together, and she was hurt through the loss in many ways. She put on a strong show despite everything. Davis got her second Oscar on March 23, 1939, for her role in Jezebel. In her speech, she thanked Wyler and said that he had helped her improve as an actress. They got along well and worked together more on The Letter 1940 and The Little Foxes 1941. Davis got more Oscar nominations for both flicks. After a long time, the Library of Congress finally added Jezebel to the National Film Registry in 2009. It won an award because it is significant to history and culture. After Jezebel, Davis reached a new high point. From 1938 to 1942, they nominated her for 5 Oscars in a row. No one had ever done it before. There was no one else who could beat it. From 1941 to 1945, from 1938 to 1939, Davis was up for Jezebel. From 1940 to 1941, he was up for The Letter, The Little Foxes, and now Voyager. In each job, she used a variety of skills. She did not always get what she wanted. In 1939, Vivien Leigh got the part she had been trying to get in Gone with the Wind. In 1942, Greer Garson beat her to the part of Mrs. Miniver. Still, this was the best part of her job. By 1942, she was Warner Brothers' biggest star and highest paid talent. At the same time, in 1938, Bette Davis fell deeply in love with William Wyler, the director, while she was making the movie. They had a strong bond from the start. She had changed, and everyone on the set could see it. There were rumors that she was dating co-star Henry Fonda, but they were not true. People who worked on the movie told her, "You're so beautiful, Bette. You must be in love." In front of the camera, she didn't look at Fonda. She looked at Wyler. They had a strong and tough bond. Davis tried to keep Wyler interested by not making a fuss. It was hard for him to connect with her on an emotional level. In the end, she said it was the most moving love story she had ever read. She said Wyler was the love of her life. Without a doubt, she still felt the bond. Even after it was over, Davis became a mother that same year. She was still married to Harmon Oscar Nelson, but the child was born to Wyler. Her marriage was already in bad shape. Nelson quickly asked for a divorce because she told him she cared more about work than her husband. Davis did not tell Wyler that she was expecting. She wanted him to ask her to marry him, but he didn't. It was very hard for her to decide to have an abortion. At that time, abortion was illegal and very dangerous. And afterwards, she said, "I killed a part of myself." After that, things between them changed. In terms of feelings, they moved farther apart. In 1940, Wyler came back with an offer to marry him and a threat. "If you don't, you'll lose him forever," Davis said no. She always felt bad about the choice she made. Davis began seeing Howard Hughes after the end of 1938. She was sad, but she was still married. She said, "I was flattered, I was married, I was bored, I accepted." Her husband thought something might be wrong and called a private detective. The cops found Davis and Hughes in bed together. Nelson had put bugs in the house. He even stormed into the bedroom. Hughes tried to hit him, but missed. He used the proof of the affair to get cash. He asked Hughes for $70,000, 0 cents, and Davis for $10,000, 0 cents. That was a lot of money in 1938. More than $1, 0 cents. $5 million right now. He said the tapes would be made public. In those days, cheating on your partner could get you fired. After being married for 7 years, they split up in December 1938. They thought about the story while they were apart, but they didn't talk about it. Davis didn't stay with Hughes after their breakup, but the damage they did that year was still there. The thought of Wyler did too. She could never really separate from him. In 1945, Davis met William Grant Cherry at a party in Laguna Beach. At age 37, she was already a big star. At age 30, he was a failed artist who had been in the Marines. Davis told her it was nice not to be known by him. That seemed honest to her. They got married right away on November 30, 1945. Davis's mother told him he could be mean before the wedding, though. Soon after they got married, it turned out to be true. Cherry got very mad. He did a lot of bad things with his wife and drank a lot. Davis began to show up to work hurt and cut. Her doctor once asked her how, since she was so smart, she could be with the bad guy. The company bosses were scared too. Davis was scared for herself and their daughter Barbara. By 1949, she finally turned away from him. On July 3, 1950, the court gave their permission to split up. One strange thing about the deal was that Cherry would only get alimony if he didn't visit Davis or their daughter. That was the worst year of Davis's career. Warner Brothers let her go in 1949 after 18 years. Their last movie with her was Behind the Forest. It was a terrible mess. A line that made fun of her performance was, "What a dump." The movie lost about $1, 0 cents. 2 million people went to the movies. Jack Warner said her business was bad. Winter Meeting, her first movie, didn't do very well either. It only made $595 $1,000, 0 cents. Plans to spend $9 million, 0 cents. When she was 41 years old, they told her job was over. In 1974, when she thought about the past, she said, I washed up, nobody wanted me, but she came back in 1950. That year, Claudette Colbert quit All About Eve because her back hurt. Davis did something. She was 42 years old and ready for a test. It came out on October 13th, 1950. How she played Margot Channing was what made it different. None of the lines were changed. One of her most well-known lines was, fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy night. It brought in $8, 0 cents. $1 million on a dollar. Plans to spend $4 million, 0 cents. One of the 14 Oscars it was up for was Best Picture, which it won. Davis was up for the award for their best work. It brought love too. On July 28, 1950, just 25 days after she broke up with Sherry, she married her co-star Gary Merrill. She fought a lot, but the one with Joan Crawford was the most famous. It began in 1935 while the movie Dangerous was being shot. Davis liked her co-star, Franchot Tone, but Crawford was already interested in him. There was a time when Crawford and Tone got engaged. Davis thought about her all the time. She took him from me. She did it coldly and on purpose, she said one time. After many years, Davis learned that Crawford might have also liked her. Crawford once told a friend, if I felt like it, I wouldn't mind poking her. Things got even worse after this. Davis said Crawford wasn't real. Crowe said Davis wasn't very good and was just being nice. Davis used to make fun of the fact that Crawford had slept with all of MGM's guys except Lassie. Crawford said Davis wasn't following the rules and said Davis's fans were like a cult. As they worked on the 1962 movie, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, their fight didn't end. Davis played a crazy ex-child star. She wanted the figure to look scary. A makeup artist wouldn't help her because the look was so strong. Davis did it by herself. She thought of someone who never washed their face and always wore a lot of makeup. Her look was one of the most shocking in movie history. The director told her to change it after her daughter saw it and said, Mom, you've gone too far this time. Davis said no. She did it her way or not at all. Davis kept going. Even after Crawford died in 1977, you should only say good things. Joan Crawford is dead, she told him. When she was 71 years old, she played a part that made everyone realize how good an actress she was. The year was 1979. The movie Strangers is about a mom and her daughter. It was serious enough to be a movie, even though it was on TV. Davis played Lucy Mason, an old woman who is tough because she has been mad for a long time. One of them was Gina Rowlands. Hey, Abigail is her daughter, who she hasn't seen in years, and she has bad news. Because she is going to die soon, she wants to make peace before it's too late. Next, Davis did one of the most moving shows he's ever done. Some reviews compared it to Autumn Sonata in terms of endearment. It was nice how Davis and Rowland could play off of each other while still being in charge. It was praised by some as one of the best TV movies ever. Davis won an Emmy in 1979 for her work in a limited series or special, a big moment in her career. It was her first Emmy and one of 3 awards she had won that year. The Emmy wasn't her only win that year, though. 2 years ago, on March 1, 1977, Davis made history at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Los Angeles. That night, she was the first woman to win the American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award. A lot of people watched. William Wyler, who directed her in Jezebel, was there to honor her. Richard and Jane Fonda were too. Olivia de Havilland came to honor her. She had been her rival for a long time. John F. Kennedy sent a message of happiness. He had been in 87 movies and was 68 years old. In an area that didn't have room for strong women, she made history. During her speech, she didn't try to hide who she was. What did she say? She said, I was the worst star Hollywood had ever had to deal with, but you know that if you don't fight, you won't get anything. In that 1 second, everything changed. Things got really hot at her job again. Her name came back into the public eye in a way that no one saw coming. She became very famous all of a sudden. There was no better hit in the U.S. in 1981 than Bette Davis' Eyes by Kim Carnes. For more than 2 months, it was #1. A lot of people who had never seen Davis's movies before became popular because of it. Then she got hit by the blow she didn't see coming. Davis was hurt so badly by lying in May 1985 that she never fully got over it. She had just gone through major surgery and a stroke at the time. B was her only real child. In his book, D. Hyman was open and honest. It was called My Mother's Keeper. The book of charges was 256 pages long. It made Davis look like a sketchy drunk who pretended to try to kill herself and kept her daughter home from school to work as her assistant. Mother Dearest came out after Joan Crawford died, but this book came out while Davis was still alive and working. Things were not going well. Gary Merrill, who was married to Davis, and B.D. talked to People magazine and said that the book was written out of hate and greed. Davis told his close friend Catherine Shurek, "This book has killed me." It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the fact that it was so public that it killed her. On TV, Hyman talked about the book and said that she wrote it to help her mother understand her better. Davis heard that line over and over. She didn't talk to her son or daughter at all. Hyman was taken from her. They didn't talk again. After 2 years, in 1987, Davis's own book, This and That, came out with her answer. She wasn't mad. She sent an honest letter that hurt a lot. "You always tell people that you wrote this book to help me understand you and your way of life better," she added. "You failed to reach your objective." She asked what the book was about and said, "If it means money, if I remember right, I've been your keeper all these years." She signed the message with her real name, Ruth Elizabeth, to differentiate herself from the name her daughter used to sell books. She told her friends that the book would hurt her more than it had helped her get better after her stroke. Michael Merrill, the son she brought home, stood by her. He did what she asked and cut all ties with Hyman. He was always there for Davis until the end. B. Davis died in Neuilly-sur-Seine, France, on October 6, 1989. She was 81 years old. She lived an honest life and did things that people will never forget. Not long ago, 2 very important letters she wrote were found. One was to Jack Warner in June 1936, not long after she won her first Academy Award. It was honest, smart, and careful. She didn't yell or make threats. Davis told Warner that she needed to do some things to keep her job interesting. She wanted to work for more than one company, which was a big ask at the time because many stars had strict contracts and companies kept a close eye on them. Davis, on the other hand, was very clear about why she wanted to work for more than one company. She liked change, she liked taking on new tasks, and she liked working with different groups and directors. She thought that change kept her sharp. She also asked for 3 months off every year to travel. This wasn't just for vacation. She thought that time away would make her stronger. When she got back, it would be good for her and the company. At the very end of the letter, she said something that really made people in the show business feel. Artists had to make money while they were still in demand in a business that was based on public opinion. Once people moved on, it was too late. After 3 years, she sent another letter. This one wasn't nice. It was real, honest, and worn out. It was September 1, 1939, and she wanted to rest in Franconia, New Hampshire, after making 5 big movies in 1 year: Dark Victory, Jezebel, Juarez, The Old Maid, and The Private Lives of Elizabeth and Essex. It was hard to stick to her plan. She made it clear in her letter that she thought her contract was silly. She said she wasn't safe and couldn't manage her time. Eventually, she needed a break between jobs. 2 movies a year is enough. The most powerful part of that letter wasn't about movies, though. It was about health. She wrote that health was something that couldn't be made. She took hers very seriously, so seriously that she was willing to lose work to protect it. In Hollywood, stars were told to keep quiet and keep going no matter what. But Davis wasn't afraid to speak up.